Welcome to the County Manager's Report. I'm Lloyd Higuera, and with me is Douglas County Manager Jim Nichols. And welcome, Jim.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk about the February 5th and February 19th meetings of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners, the February meetings, one in Minden, one at Lake Tahoe. And we'll start with the February 5th meeting. And at both of the February meetings, there was a presentation that commissioners heard. Economic Vitality Group made a presentation on county-wide connectivity, a county-wide connectivity plan. And could you give us kind of an overview of what that plan's all about?
Sure. Well, the connectivity plan is really a review of the county's overall transportation needs. And it's a multimodal review, looks at trails, looks at roads, and looks at all the ways that we get around Douglas County and comes up with some potential solutions for how we're going to address some of our transportation challenges. Some of the big projects in there include rerouting of 395 around the Minden and Gardnerville downtowns. It looks at the loop road at the lake as well. And so the board gave us some direction. They first want staff to come back with prioritized projects, and then also possible funding sources. And so that's the direction we've taken, and that's what we're working on right now.
Okay, very good. And so we can look forward to seeing more on this in the future.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay. Also at that February 5th meeting, commissioners selected a new clerk-treasurer.
Yes.
And that was a project that was very near and dear to your heart.
Yes. One of my prouder moments, first from the standpoint of who we selected, the board chose Kathy Lewis as the new clerk-treasurer. She was actually sworn in recently, and she's now serving in that capacity. And one of the reasons I'm particularly happy with that selection is she is one of my former employees as our budget manager. She's going to do an exceptional job in the role of clerk-treasurer. And also the other reason it was near and dear was just because of the process we went through. I think it was really one of my first assignments when taking the position. It was come up with a way to select, recruit, and screen clerk-treasurer candidates. And I was fortunate that the board gave me the leeway to create a very public process and utilize members of the community as part of an advisory committee. And it really worked very well. And even though there were lots of diverse opinions on the three candidates, and all of whom would have done an exceptional job, the one thing that seemed clear to everyone is that the process itself was a great success. And I'm hopeful it can serve as a model in the future should we ever have a position like this to recruit for again.
Yep, it all went very smoothly, and yeah, and as you say, Kathy will do a great job as our clerk-treasurer. Well, commissioners considered amending the Douglas County Code to allow the town of Minden to establish speed limits in the town and let the town determine where traffic control devices will be placed.
These are two issues that have been ongoing for quite a long time. The town of Minden had been working on this far longer than the county even had to consider it, and really required a lot of patience on the part of the residents who were affected, and certainly we appreciate that. But ultimately what it came down to is these actions and follow-up second readings that will be happening in the future will give the town of Minden the ability to set their own speed limits and to designate appropriate traffic control in accordance with MUTCD standards, which is the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. And previously those types of decisions would have to come before the Board of Commissioners for final approval. And what this is going to do is allow the town board in Minden to make these decisions themselves and make these designations as they see fit.
Okay, so this was the first reading of the ordinance?
That is correct. Both were first readings, and second readings will be coming up at the next meeting.
Right, and then after the second reading, then they would have that authority.
They would go into effect, correct.
Okay. All right, well, we took a look at the February 5th meeting. Let's move on to the February 19th meeting. That was up at Lake Tahoe. And commissioners heard a presentation at that meeting on the Tahoe Basin Recreation and Tourism Plan. And what are some of the highlights of that plan?
Well, this has been under construction for quite some time, and it really was a very collaborative process with both South Lake Tahoe and El Dorado County. And the plan, in essence, identified some strategies in working with other agencies, both those two government agencies as well as other affected interests in the area in enhancing the recreation opportunities throughout the Tahoe Basin. The process coincided with the development of the South Lake Tahoe Parks, Trails, and Recreation Plan, so it was really a good marriage that these efforts were occurring at the same time. And the plan provided some objectives for collaboration, which included aligning recreation fee policies related to residential and non-residential fees for all three entities up there, removing barriers for hosting region-wide events, and really the plan wants to recognize and acknowledge the benefit that all three entities gain when any one of us hosts a recreational event. And so rather than it being a competitive situation, we look at it as collaborative where we all can benefit from the success of others. We're also looking to, the plan talks about improving and coordinating visitor information, pooling our funds for targeted regional facilities, trails, and services, and identifying regional priorities for new recreation development. And some of the things that suggested we do include investigating partnerships for event venue development, coordinating facility and trail signage, considering facility development to support visitor use, and supporting infrastructure improvement that will enhance visitor access out around the basin. So those are some of the things that came out of that plan. Obviously, it is a roadmap more than an actual implementation situation. So next would be how we take this roadmap and then move it forward. But the board received it, and now we have a template to start from.
Okay, very good. Also, Douglas County accepted an award to the Government Finance Officers Association's Distinguished Budget Award for the 2014-2015 budget.
Yes.
So it's time to, blow the county's horn a little bit here.
Yes. The entire finance department deserves recognition and acknowledgement for this. Obviously, the department led by the finance director, Christine Viletich, and her entire staff did a great job in putting our budget together, and this award is basically an acknowledgement for all their hard work and effort.
And this is not the first time Douglas County has received that award.
No, it is not. I don't have the exact number, but we have received this award numerous times, and staff just does an incredible job each and every year.
Great. Commissioners also gave their approval to the final strategic plan. And I know you've been working pretty closely with the board on that plan. Mm-hmm. What are some of the items contained there?
Well, this is another piece of work that is very near and dear to my heart, somewhat like the clerk-treasurer recruitment. And partly because of, again, the process we went through to get here. The results were extremely beneficial and helpful to the county, but also the efforts that the board went through to come up with the strategic plan were very well received and was a great testament to their work together. They had a 2-day workshop about a month ago, and they worked very collaboratively together along with staff in looking at our priorities, our vision, and where we want to go as a county. As a result, that's what led us to our strategic plan objectives, which I presented to the board. And basically what we did is updated the previous version with some tweaks that the board had come up with at their workshop. Some of those include, I'll just hit the highlights, but under the Safe Communities Initiative, we talked about adding a goal of initiating a septic system conversion program throughout the county, conducting EOC-related training on a regular basis, and then implementing after-action review recommendations for all emergency and disaster events that occur throughout the county. And these are very helpful and important to maintaining a safe Douglas County. Under economic vitality, we had previously had a goal of examining and revising Title 20. We've added to that also the appeal process for Division 11 and the engineering and design standards. And for those who aren't aware, these are the documents that govern and regulate planning and development and engineering processes throughout the county. And then we also looked at a goal of working with local and partners and stakeholders to initiate the development of a year-round conference and entertainment venue at Lake Tahoe, and it would have to be located in Douglas County for us to actively participate in that. Under the infrastructure heading, we looked at completing a countywide stormwater master plan, including developing a long-term funding strategy, and that was something the board had directed me and staff to do a few months ago, and we're still working on that part of their direction. We also are going to look at that countywide connectivity project and initiating some of the transportation projects out of there. That has been woven into their strategic plan. And then also something that of late has been a big issue throughout the county, and that is water rates. And one of the goals is to develop a multi-year stable and equitable water rate structure for the various water systems throughout Douglas County. Under our Natural Environment, Cultural Heritage, and Quality of Life initiative, we're going to look at performing a 20-year update of the county's master plan. And then we added a new initiative called Organizational Sustainability, and that's related to creating and maintaining a motivated, efficient, and effective workforce within the county. We recognize the value and the importance that our staff have, and the board established a number of goals to help maintain the staff we have and allow us to recruit exceptional staff from outside the organization, and that'll allow us to best serve the constituents.
Well, sounds like a pretty full plate.
It is, and, but it's a good roadmap for myself and staff, so we know the things that the board sees us accomplishing in the future, and it'll help us align our efforts in the right direction.
No, it's good to know what their priorities are.
Exactly.
Yeah. We've got one more for you, and that is a preview of any items that might be coming up during March.
Sure. Well, at the March 5th meeting, not any big items that I can highlight. However, some interesting ones that the viewers might care about. We have a contract going forward for manhole rehabilitation and a lift station upgrade, and that'll be brought forward by the Public Works Department. We also have a presentation on the status and recent activities regarding noxious weed control throughout the county. And then finally, there'll be a brief discussion with the board on cost allocation and getting the board's philosophies on how we should handle that moving forward. Those are just some of the highlights.
Okay, very good. Well, Jim, I want to thank you for being here and sharing all the information you shared with us. Mm-hmm. That's what we do here on the County Manager's Report. I'm Lloyd Higuera for the report. I'm with County Manager Jim Nichols, and we'll see you next time on the County Manager's Report.